Hi everyone, and by now you should know who the top 3 photographers were in the 2021 Kgalagadi Wildlife Photo Competition. So we had a quick interview at the lodge, a bit noisy, but and the sound is not that great. But we had a quick interview, and I'll make sure that I follow up in future a detailed interview with each one of them. There are some similarities, and there's something that we can draw out and that can inspire from all three of these photographers. So please sit back, listen, and enjoy. And if there's any comments and questions, make them below.
I left Tweerivieren a bit late because it was a beautiful sunrise, and I was taking photographs at Tweerivieren. And by the time I got to Samevloeien, the whole camp's people were around the waterhole, looking at 3 young lions playing near the waterhole, and there wasn't a place for a mouse. But I kept on looking at the sunrise and the cloud in front of the sun. And by chance, there was a whole group of gemsbok messing around and fighting, and I just couldn't get the two to match. So I concentrated on the cloud, and as soon as I stopped and started taking photographs, the crowd from the waterhole started moving closer, which almost forced the gemsbok to walk past me. And I was just lucky that they walked in the right direction. So everything came together by chance, basically. But it was I've always wanted to take a photograph with the shadows of the buck. Years ago, I saw a photograph of camels in the desert. You don't actually see the camels, but you can see the shade of the camels against the next dune. And I've always wanted to take a photograph similar to that, and this was the perfect opportunity. But the fact that they moved closer actually forced the gemsbok to walk in the right direction.
Okay,
which
is actually quite a lot of things that play together.
For sure.
Serendipitously, yeah.
No, for sure.
And what is exceptional is the fact that once again it's actually a total landscape, a Kalahari, and the gemsbok, the icon species, is in it. So that's what makes it. But what's important to me is that the fact that you've also entered all of those landscapes. So is that a passion of yours?
Yes. I normally concentrate on landscapes, and when I leave the camp, I normally look at the clouds, and the clouds determine the route that I'm going to take for the day. So I always follow the clouds, and then I always try and match a landscape to the cloud. And if there's an animal in the way, then it's just a bonus to the landscape. And basically today, that's all I did, it was landscapes. So yes, it is a passion of mine, and I always work around the light and the clouds. So that's always the crux of all my photography.
What's your most popular equipment that you use for that view?
I've got basically 3 cameras with 3 lenses, 3 different lenses. For long distance, I've got a 600 Nikon f4. And then for intermediate, I've got a D800 with a 70 to 200 lens on it, and then I've got a 850 with a 20mm lens on it. So those are the 3 that I normally use, and I interchange depending on what I'm taking a photograph of. But for landscapes, I vary between the 20mm and the 50mm lens on the D850.
How can you describe, the drive to come to the Kalahari? How would you summarize or verbalize that?
It's the perfect light. Just the light in the Kalahari. And then the other thing is the uniqueness of the trees. So between the light, the trees, and if you've got cloud, it's even better. So it's the combination of those 3. And then the animals. The animals are just a bonus on top of everything else. But the light is absolutely the crux of most of the photography. Well, that's what photography means, is painting with light. And this is the perfect light. If you ever want perfect light, this is the place to be. I never took part in any competitions, and I've been coming to the Kalahari for 22 years. And only when you start taking part in a competition that you actually can judge what the standard is and what you are capable of. And I think in the last 3 years, my photography has taken a massive leap forward. Just with the conversation with people and your critique on the photos that are entered is fantastic. It gives you that motivation to try something different and also to improve. And I would recommend anybody who's starting or who's an old photographer to enter, to see whether you can make it and see what your standard is compared to others. I normally come twice a year, sometime around October, and then when the rainy season in December, when it's the hottest, because the raptors are normally out here in the summer, and that's one of my favorites. So there's so much to do and to see during that December period. It is a bit warm, but you acclimatize and you get used to it. But the raptors are tremendous, and the owls are fantastic in December and January.
Do you already get a lot of cloud then for your landscapes?
Yes.
Is that
Well, you get all the storm clouds gathering, especially thunderstorms, and that's ideal.
that's dramatic? Yeah.
Yeah, especially now this last December, there were permanent clouds for 3 weeks, and it was ideal to do landscape photography because around every corner there was a scene to photograph.
Why do you think there's such a shortage in people that do landscape photography in Kgalagadi?
I think they are fixated on, let's say, lion, and I think everybody wants to take a good lion photo, and they forget about the other things. They don't look at the big picture. And I feel you should actually look at the environment first and then go down to a micro level. So you start with the big picture and then work your way down. And I think people miss out by concentrating on just animals. They should actually look at the bigger picture and more an environmental attitude. And then they would get the bigger picture. But I think they come fixated to see a lion, just for instance, and they forget to look at the trees around. So I would say go the opposite way around. Go for the environment and then go down into your lower levels.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. A little bit about my photography and my photo. I took it in a portrait mode, and it was just your normal background, with the blue and the sand dunes and everything. It was nice. And we followed this Kgalagadi a long way, like 50 meters, to see if it does something interesting. But it was just normal, and it started taking a sand bath, and I was totally out of my mind, like taking photos like 100 at a time. And in my editing process, I started thinking more creative. I started thinking of putting a darker around it to put more focus on the animal. And with the sand that's already there, I just put a little bit more extra in, and I put light from above to make it more 3D-ish, so it could stand more out.
So it was not a lion; it was a Kgalagadi, which everyone sees, and a lot of photographers just drive past because it normally walks away and it doesn't. So what makes yours exceptional and Kgalagadi is the fact that very little people, no one else has entered it, and you need to have a creative eye to actually do that, and that typically shows that from a very common subject like the springbok, you can take winning images. What is your favorite times that you come to the park? Is it a specific time, or do you just come when you get the availability? And what do you like about the park itself as a photographer's haven?
Well, usually we come in December, January, but it's nice and warm, so I like that. And sometimes it's green, so that gives a little bit more mystery because it's not green, it's supposed to be sand. So that helps a lot as well. But yeah, I think for us and photography eyes, there's not a lot of stuff in their faces. You get clear images. Except when you go to clear, it's bushes and grass everywhere. Here you have a little bit more cleanness. And that's what I love about this.
A typical artistic, clean backgrounds.
Yeah.
concentrate. So congratulations, Dominique, and I hope you've got plans to come for this year and to enter this competition.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the black and white is I've got a bit of a black and white background. I did a lot of in the film days. I did a lot of black and white printing. So I had my own darkroom. I developed my own films. I did my own black and white printing. So I really like the black and white. So even doing digital now, I still like converting a lot of stuff to black and white. I think I still think in black and white. So I see in black and white a lot of my imagery. So yeah, and that photo was actually on the Dune Road, and we left early in the morning, and it was raining a little bit. The light was nice and soft, and we saw these two beautiful male lions, and we were the only people there for probably about an hour, and they were sitting next to the road, and right at the end they got up and they walked into the distance, into the veld, and that was basically my last image that I shot of that male lion, standing there, sort of looking in the distance with a beautiful rain coming in the background. And when I saw that image, I immediately knew that is a black and white image, with all the contrast and the beautiful clouds, storm clouds coming in. And and I converted it into black and white, and it just worked. It was one of those images that I knew it was a black and white image, and I'm really happy to be here, and really privileged between all these top wildlife photographers to have made it into the top 3. So yeah, that's great.
Carl, what is your preferred times coming to the park, and what is it that's exceptional about the Kalahari?
Well, I think we found a sort of a niche time in September. I don't know. I'm not that keen. I'm not that brave like these other guys coming in December, January. I think it's just, I've never been here in January, but I think I hear it's beautiful. But I'm just really scared of the heat. So and then I have to work around my kids' school holidays. So we used to come in June, and then we started coming in September, which I found a really nice time to. It's not that hot, it's not that cold, it's actually quite nice. And for me, I don't mind not seeing a lot of animals. I mean, sometimes you're lucky and you see those beautiful lions. Sometimes you just see the birds and the small little animals. For me, it's just nice to be here, to relax, to light a fire in the evenings, listen to all the sounds, look at the stars, and just enjoy it. For me, it's just switching off and really just enjoying the Kalahari for what it is. So yeah, that's what I enjoy.